He left for a bike ride one ordinary September morning and never came back. No note, no struggle. Just a cassette, a broken Walkman, and a silence that stretched for decades. This is the story of Tara Calico, her disappearance, the strange Polaroid that haunted investigators, and the quiet corners of a small town that still want answers. She was 19, a college student, routine-driven, a young woman who took the same long ride almost every morning. On September 20th, 1988, Tara Leigh Calico left her home on Brook Street in Belen, New Mexico, on her mother's bicycle just after 9:30 a.m. She planned a 36-mile loop, a stretch of familiar two-lane road that cut across Valencia County. By 11:45 a.m., she was last seen on Highway 47, 2 miles from home, and then she vanished. Her mother, Patty, had sometimes ridden with her, but in the weeks before the disappearance she had stopped, worried after a man in a truck appeared to be following Tara during one run. The morning Tara didn't return, Patty set out to look for her daughter. She found nothing at first. Then, scattered along the roadside, pieces of a Sony Walkman and a cassette tape. Tara's neon pink Huffy bicycle was never recovered. Belen is a small river town, a place where routines are visible, where single-lane highways stitch neighborhoods together. In cases like these, every neighbor's memory becomes evidence, and every rumor becomes a thread to follow. Early investigators collected witness statements. Several reported seeing a light-colored pickup truck that morning following Tara's route. Others saw her riding. Foul play was suspected almost immediately. Over the months, multiple lines of inquiry developed. Stranger abduction, local involvement, or the possibility of displacement far from the route. In small towns, cases move differently. Relationships, grudges, and long memories complicate the trail. Some believed Tara had been intercepted by a vehicle. Others floated darker possibilities. For decades, the truth would remain stubbornly elusive. If the Walkman and the missing bike were strange, nothing grabbed national attention like the Polaroid. On June 15, 1989, roughly 9 months after Tara's disappearance, a color Polaroid was found in a convenience store parking lot in Port St. Joe, Florida. It showed a young woman and a boy, bound and gagged with black tape, their arms seemingly tied behind them. The picture looked like a hostage snapshot, and it traveled quickly across national news. The woman in the photo bore a resemblance to Tara's face. Michael Henley, an 11-year-old boy who had gone missing in April 1988, was suggested by some relatives as the boy in the image. The photograph raised hopes, fears, and millions of questions. Polaroid Corporation later said the film type used would not have been available before May 1989, which complicated timelines. If the photo were genuine, it meant the image had been taken months after Tara's disappearance and then discarded far from New Mexico. The Polaroid was shown on national television. Tara's mother watched, desperate for confirmation. Law enforcement asked photographic experts to analyze the image. Some said the photograph appeared staged. Others warned it could be a hoax or a malicious attempt to draw attention. The FBI examined the picture and ultimately found it inconclusive. The image neither proved nor disproved Tara's presence. Why inconclusive? Photographic forensics are complicated. Film types, lighting, and subject positioning can suggest staging. Polaroid officials said the film in question wasn't sold until May 1989, which suggested the picture couldn't predate that month. That raised as many questions as it answered. If Tara had been taken in September 1988, What explains an image filmed months later? Or, unsettlingly, could the Polaroid be unrelated? An opportunistic hoax that tangled two families' grief. Small-town investigations often circle back to local networks, neighbors, ex-partners, and people who know the roads. Over the years, Valencia County investigators compiled a list of persons of interest. Rumors circulated that several local men had been questioned. Rumors also alleged that some people had reasons to keep quiet. These are the stories that percolate in diner booths and at gas stations. And while every rumor is not evidence, patterns deserve review. In recent years, that paper trail would be reopened. In mid-2023, Valencia County files were sent to the 13th Judicial District Attorney's Office for a formal review. Attorneys began to comb through decades of evidence to determine if charges could be brought. That action was significant. It indicated authorities believed there might be prosecutable leads worth pursuing. Remember the cassette and the broken Walkman? Forensic fragments like these can be small keys in an investigation. The Walkman and tape were found near where Tara had been seen, suggesting a sudden interruption. Forensics in 1988 were not as sensitive as today's DNA-era tools, but physical items can be re-examined, and trace evidence can yield new leads when technologies evolve. Over time, investigators submitted biological and physical materials for retesting when new methods became available. Cold case units across the country have solved decades-old crimes this way. In Tara's case, some reanalysis has been reported, and in 2023, a team reviewed whether the assembled evidence could sustain charges. A procedural but critical step toward accountability. Behind every file is a family. Tara's mother, Patty, died in 2006, still seeking answers. Friends remember Tara as smart, independent, and routine-bound. The kind of person who left notes about time, who carried a Walkman instead of a phone, who trusted the road. Community vigils, posters, and years of unanswered tips kept the case alive in local memory, even as national attention waned. Grief in a small town is not quiet. It simmers. And when the hope of a single bad photograph arrives, families must choose whether to trust experts, trust their instincts, or both. Tara's friends and family believed to this day there is more to the story than the Polaroid alone. In June 2023, after a renewed investigative push, Valencia County's files were formally reviewed by the 13th Judicial District Attorney's Office. Attorneys assembled a team to comb through 35 years of material to see whether probable cause existed to file criminal charges. That doesn't mean arrests immediately followed, but it does mean the case moved from static cold files to active legal review. Local reporting confirmed that evidence had been submitted for consideration. The FBI has maintained a missing person page for Tara and has offered a reward for information. The case remains open and active in multiple databases, used by investigators and by families seeking answers. If you live in Valencia County or traveled Highway 47 in September 1988, or if you remember a white cargo van, a light-colored truck, or a man driving with a mustache in that era, please contact the Valencia County Sheriff's Office or the FBI tip line. We include official contact links in the description below if you want the full dossier, photos, and the primary source timeline. The link to our Patreon dossier is pinned in the comments. Help closes cold cases, one tip at a time. Over decades, alternate explanations have taken root: accidental death and concealment, targeted abduction, or a copycat photo meant to taunt. Each theory exists because parts of the case resist simple answers. The timeline, missing bike, found Walkman, later Polaroid, leaves gaps wide enough for speculation. Responsible reporting requires separating evidence from conjecture. In Tara's case, the recorded facts are clear, but the motive and the actor remain unknown. For nearly 4 decades, Tara Leigh Calico's name has been called across courtrooms, newsrooms, and kitchen tables. The questions are still there. The small fragments remain. But so does resolve among family, among investigators, and among communities that refuse to forget. If you have something to tell, any memory, any detail, now is the time to speak. Because cold cases thaw when someone chooses not to let silence win. This is Cold County Files. If you found this episode valuable, subscribe for our next deep dive.